Welcome to our post-election edition of This Week in Missouri Politics. I'm Scott Faughn, joined by the incoming Speaker of the Missouri House of Representatives, Dr. John Patterson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Scott, glad to be with you.
There is nobody that could look you straight in the eye and say they thought you were going to have 111 seats when the election started. You were going to go to the people of Missouri in a presidential year, Donald Trump, abortion on the ballot, minimum wage increase, and you're going to come out with 111. You had to be surprised by such an overwhelmingly successful night.
We were very surprised. Scott, if you talked to us a year ago, we sat and we said, what can we do? What are the headwinds? And, losing 10 seats, that wouldn't have been a terrible night for us. And for us to come out and hold our supermajority at 111, it was shocking, but it was a great night. It was a long night. But we were able to do it for a couple of reasons. One, of course, is the staff that we had, the troika of Hannah Beer Sutton, Dallas Ernst, and Casey Burns. And then the thing that I don't think has been talked about that much is we really had buy-in from the Republican conference. We had so many people that went out and raised money. They gave Hannah the resources to go out and run races. She did, and the result is what we saw on Tuesday night.
And those wins, those resources were deployed pretty expertly. You did not have a lot of margin for error in several of these races. We're talking tens of votes and some hundreds at the most. You did spread those resources just thin enough to keep all 111, but thick enough to win some races that, if you didn't have that fundraising advantage, I don't think you'd have won some of those.
We did. I think if you look at Missouri Mapper, which I think does a great job.
Terrific account.
I would love to meet him sometime. He forecasted that we would be at 108, and if you look at the three races that we did win, I think it was about 1,500 votes, and so the resources had to be deployed expertly. And one of the things that I think people will talk about going forward is Dallas Ernst and the data operation that he ran. We had a great app that we used. The data that he was able to get and target seats, we were doing it in real time. For example, we would get the data on who requested an absentee ballot. I know Democrats have been doing this, and Dallas was able to get it to us. We could visit that house. We could send them a postcard. Those kind of things that were on the ground that we were able to do, I think those things made the difference in those three districts.
And your fellow Older King, everything made a difference. A tremendously close race. Let me ask you a question. Your race, you represent a group of people that is not some ruby red district. It is very much a swing district, maybe even turning to be a Democrat district. You had to not only be in charge of the record-breaking fundraising effort, kind of run this whole operation, you had to run a race of your own.
I did. I had two formidable opponents and had to run a race in a suburban district. And what I tell people is, if you do it right, running for state representative is a lot of fun. You get to go around, you can meet almost everybody that lives in your district, you get to walk every street, so that when you're done with it, you really know the people in your community.
There's a lot of hills in Lee Summit, though. It's one thing to walk in Crothersville where it's all flat.
Right.
You're walking in Lee Summit, there's some hills in those subdivisions.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, your legs are tired, but you've talked to 20 people and you've really gotten a sense of what's important to them. And so this was my last time running for state representative. I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it, because you might meet one person that's kind of grumpy at the doors. For every one person, you'll meet 10 that'll invite you into their home. They'll give you water. They'll tell you you're doing a great job. They'll talk about issues. So it's a lot of fun.
Do you think you running in a truly competitive district helped you understand what was happening in some of the other districts? Most of the competitors were suburban. Most of them were districts that, frankly, you've represented for a while, but were trending Democrat. When you were talking to a swing district, when you were talking to Ben Keithley, it seems like you would have the best ability of anybody in recent memory to understand what he's going through, because you were running a similar race on your end.
Absolutely, and we actually had a group text that I'll miss, and it was all the suburban guys and gals in tough seats, and we would text each other every day. Some of the things that are on there you can't see. They're hilarious, but I'll miss it. And we would just motivate each other. We would tell, hey, go knock 10 more doors today. And it did make a difference, because I was in the exact same place that Ben Keithley was, Older King, Travis Wilson, Brad Christ, and we were all going through it at the same time. We were all successful, and we all motivated each other every day.
So now that you brought back all 111, the same number you went into the elections with, you had leadership elections. Everybody's known for a while, you being the speaker designee, you'd be the speaker. Tell me who else won some of those races.
Well, Alex Riley is our new majority floor leader. I could not be happier and more excited to work with someone He is a truly talented individual, and that we couldn't have picked anybody better. And shockingly enough, he won the race uncontested, which I think is a testament to how capable he is and how much respect people had for him. And then our Speaker Pro Tem is going to be Chad Perkins, a great friend of mine who I've worked with for 4 years now. He's going to do a great job.
A lot of energy in Chad Perkins.
A lot of energy.
To see him do well. He's got that deep voice, but Chad seems like he's a hustler. He's kind of a business guy. He's out.
He is.
He knows how to get after it.
He does, and I think the three of us will work very cohesively, and to have a unified leadership team, I think is going to be great going into the new term with the governor.
I think you were very fortunate. You have a Butler County in the leadership team now, right? Hardy Billington's the whip. Who could say no to Hardy?
That's right. Another uncontested leadership candidate. He was unanimously selected by the Republican conference. He has done a great job as the majority whip, and he is going to continue to do a great job.
So break down when you had your caucus this week, what do you think you guys are going to focus on?
Well, I think you'll see us come out right out of the gate. I think public safety is going to be a priority. So we have a governor, and I hope we don't see a lot of the governor. I hope he's out in California and New York recruiting businesses to come to Missouri, places from Europe and Asia to come here. But we can't have that if we don't have safe streets for the companies to move into. So there's capital that wants to come here, but we have to make sure that the streets are safe. And I think you'll see us come right out of the gate with a crime package, maybe 3 or 4 bills to make our streets safer so that we can attract these businesses.
You're a wildly successful politician. I'm a simple hillbilly. I'm always skeptical. I've talked to Mike Keogh. I've looked in his eyes. I saw the passion he has for addressing crime in St. Louis and Kansas City. I guess I've just heard it so many times. You've got to hear it this week. I heard it on the campaign trail a week ago. Do you really believe that the state can do something that actually impacts crime in the big cities?
I do. I think I'll give you an example. One thing we could do is do something that helps us recruit and retain cops. I think in Kansas City, we're down about 300 police officers from what we should be. If you look at 2014, we were at 1,400 cops, and I think we're at 1,100 now. St. Louis is similar, maybe 250 down. So I think if we can do something that can help these municipalities recruit and retain cops, that could be something that would help get more cops on the street and make them safer.
Do you think it's important, though, that you reach out to whether it's Quentin Lucas, Tashara Jones, or even the police chiefs, and have something to offer them, not just, oh, crime is so bad, you're not doing your job? I think it sounds like you're actually starting with a carrot to actually give them resources to help instead of just maybe lecturing them about things they should do differently.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to give them opportunity, but we expect accountability. So if we give them the carrot, we want them to make sure that their cops are paid and that they're treated well and that they have the resources that they need to do their jobs. And so I think if we do that, you will see a difference on the streets.
What about schools? Everybody I talk to talks about education reform as a top issue. I've watched you deliver results on this issue. What's the next step in education reform?
Well, funny enough, Scott, we just got done meeting with the governor, with Senator O'Laughlin, and one of the things that we talked about was reforming education. And I think on this, we don't have to hit home run every time. I think we can take an incremental approach. And one of the things that I think we can do, I'll give you an example, is if you go on the DESE website and you look up your kid's school, the information that you're given isn't able to tell you how that school is doing. I would love it if we could go on the DESE website and you could see how's the school performing, what are the metrics, and have it all laid out where it's clear so that parents can see what's going on.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like it's almost intentional. I feel like it's in an age where you could buy customized cufflinks and have them shipped to you in 30 seconds. It does feel like it's borderline intentional how hard it is to find the information about a school.
I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it certainly isn't good. And so I would like as a parent to go on the website and see how is Chapel Lakes doing, how is Delta Woods doing. If they could give us that information and give parents that information, I think that would be a good first step.
It does feel like in 2024, it should be possible to make this happen.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Senate. You have passed many, many, many things in the House that has went to die in the Senate. You've seen it as a backbench member, as an up-and-coming member, as the floor leader. You pass these things, and it's got to be a little frustrating because it's not as though someone steps up on the Senate floor and says, "I don't like Representative whatever's bill." It just seems to be a big petty mess. What do you tell your caucus that you can do differently working with Senator O'Laughlin? Can you influence that at all to maybe just see more of a return to normalcy over there?
I think you will, and the reason is the people that we're sending over there. I've worked with Senator-to-be Brad Hudson, Adam Schnelting, Kurtis Gregory, Mike Henderson. I've gotten to know Joe Nicola very well, and I think they are people that they may be more conservative than me, they may be less, but I think they're people that are there to get things done. So the fact that you have them going over there, I think, is a really good sign, and I am very optimistic.
We have a couple of them that have joined a caucus whose stated goal is to destroy Republican legislation and make Senate leadership's life awful. I mean, if that's your goal in January, that's a pretty easy goal to hit by May.
Yeah, I haven't heard them say that. I think they are people that want to get things done, and I'm very optimistic that they'll be conservative and they'll try to advocate for the issues that are important to them, but not be obstructions.
Take me to the back room for a second. You've seen this lesson from 3 different vantage points: freshman backbencher, rising star, flow leader, now you're going to be speaker. What can you do as speaker? Do you just hold Senate bills? What leverage do you have in the House to say, get it together, at least debate the bill, at least say this idea doesn't work, but grow up? What leverage do you possibly have?
I think in the era of term limits, your leverage points are somewhat limited. I'm just going to do my job the way I've always done it, is to just try to build consensus.
Feels like you and Cindy O'Loughlin can get in a room, and the two of you could probably get along quite well. We
do. She does a great job.
What if she calls you up and says, I need you to come over here and explain to these senators that you're not doing something until we move? Is that the kind of relationship you two can have, where you can, and maybe you can bring her over and explain, okay, this is why I can't get this done. Those are conversations I'm not sure happened before, but I'm not sure you had maybe such a cohesive relationship between the speaker and the pro tem in recent years.
Well, we have a great relationship, and I think all those options are on the table, but I hope it never comes to that. I hope we can build consensus and work it out, and knowing that we're all trying to do the best thing for Missourians. And if we do that, I think we can work it out before it gets to that point.
Big freshman class coming in of your 111. Give me a couple folks you're really looking forward to working with out of that freshman class.
Well, I don't want to jinx anybody, when you label them a superstar, but I'll just mention someone that's close to my heart because they're a fellow physician, Dr. George Haruza out of St. Louis. I think he's replacing outgoing speaker Dean Plocker. He is a person with an amazing story. He immigrated from a Soviet bloc country, so he knows what life is like under those circumstances, and it's what really made him a Republican. It really what made him want to be in politics. So I think as you get to know him, of course, he's going to be big into the healthcare legislation, but he wants to work on other things. I think he's going to be a great member to work with, and I like that I have a fellow doctor to work with.
I got a guy, Bill Irwin. He kind of seems like a star. And then anytime you come out of Independent City Hall, like Mike Steinmeier, if you come out of Independent City Hall, you're ready for the NFL. That is a rough and tumble place.
Yeah. Both of those guys are great guys. I've gotten to know very well in the campaign season. Both of them really helped out in Jackson County electing members. They're going to be really good right off the bat, I can tell, and you'll be hearing from them.
House Speaker John Patterson, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Scott. Glad to be with you.
We'll be right back with an opinion maker panel of freshman senators about to take office after this.
For more than a century, the St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work. Ameren, Missouri.
Welcome back to This Week in Missouri Politics post-election edition. We are joined by three freshman state senators. Representative Jamie Berger, thank you for joining us, sir.
Looking forward to it today, Scott.
Scott County.
Scott County.
I love it. Representative Maggie Nurrenbern from the great Northland in Clay County. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you, and it's good to be back in Jeff City.
And I guess we'll call you now Senator-elect Kurtis Gregory from Saline County. Thank you so much for making the time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Got to be excited. I mean, what an amazing honor it is later today for you to walk in to the Missouri Senate chamber as one of the 34 members of the Missouri State Senate.
The Missouri House is one thing. It's lower. There's 100.
One thing.
It's one thing. You're 163.
Yeah.
Great honor. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. It was a little more of, and I'm sure you all can relate to now going, I'm one of 34 now.
Yeah.
And just a whole nother level of respect for the chamber, the building, the institution that it is.
Brother, for you, it had to be like going from high school to Faroe Field. You're really in the big leagues
From
now.
1A Santa Fe High School, all of 27 kids in my class, to there being more kids in freshman biology than there was the town of Alma. Yes, it's just an honor to be there, and I'm happy that the people put their trust in me.
Representative Berger, it is a great honor to be a member of what I think is the most important institution in the state of Missouri.
I think I take that honor very seriously, too. I started as 2nd District Commissioner in Scott County, then ran as for presiding commissioner, then the State House, and now the Senate. It's been quite the ride, and I'm excited about the opportunity to serve and working with these fine people and senators. It's going to be exciting times.
Representative, I've got a chance to cover your career since you got here. I'm so thrilled, to me, when serious legislators, especially from the minority side in the House, it's tough. The rules are meant to make it tough. But now you move from that challenging position to being one of 34 people that can influence every single policy in the state. It's almost more fun to watch someone come from the House minority to being a state senator.
Sure, and I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm so grateful for, my predecessor, Lauren Arthur, and what she was able to do. We ran a heck of a campaign, and we were at it for a long time. We had one of the toughest races in the state, and I'm just so grateful for the people of Clay County setting me to be that important voice in the Missouri Senate.
Talk about election night. The Southeast Missouri in the primary, whether it's primary, the general, he could run for mayor of Zenith Hornersville. The Southeast Missouri loves Mike Kehoe.
Very much so. And Governor Kehoe has spent a lot of time in Southeast Missouri. He remembers everyone's name. He's it's amazing, and he's a good stump speaker. Anytime he's been there, we kind of rally around him and take him all over Southeast Missouri, and we feel like he's one of us.
Senator-elect Gregory, you could honestly say that the best man in this state to be governor is going to be the governor of the state of Missouri.
Absolutely. Can't say enough about Governor Kehoe. With the state's #1 industry being agriculture. He's a first-generation farmer. He understands the hardships. He can have those conversations with a cattle farmer, a grain farmer, you name it. He can have that conversation, understands the issues. So drop him right in the middle of Cooper, Howard, Saline, Lafayette, Ray, or even Northern Clay County, and he's going to have those conversations, and then move into the suburban parts of Clay, and he's going to be able to talk to the business owners because what do? He sold cars. He understands business. He understands agriculture. Just the whole gamut. I think he's going to be a great asset to the state of Missouri.
Let's talk about it. Wasn't all bad for Democrats. You won a very tough race against a tremendous opponent in Jerry Nolte, a district that in the past has been a swing district. You went from Senator Sylvie to a Republican to Senator Arthur, a Democrat. What was your strategy for winning one of the few places Democrats won a tough race? What was your strategy for winning that?
It took all of it, and it was knocking doors. It was getting our message out. It was getting out there early. But I am one to say that I unapologetically tied myself to Amendment 3. I wanted to make sure that folks knew when they voted yes on Amendment 3 that they also had to elect a state senator who was going to uphold the will of the voters. And that was my message all across the campaign. And I'm so glad that Clay County voters sent me here.
Senator Berger, let me just ask you. Amendment 3 passes. Not by an overwhelming amount, but it passes. I've already seen lawsuits filed, folks talking about different ways. I did see people sit at this table that were pro-Amendment 3 and say, well, some of these things will be left up to the state legislature to decide with the parameters. Are you now going to step in and start deciding those parameters?
Well, as much as I respect the senator sitting next to me, I strongly disagree with her opinion on Amendment 3. But that's just the way life is, and the way politics. Exactly. I hope we can address it. I think it's awful. I'm not for in any shape or form, and I think that's a discussion that we will have next week when we caucus to see how we move going forward.
It is true. Everybody, you ran pro-life. Most of your colleagues did. That'll be in your caucus today. However, the voters did speak. And I always think it's always disingenuous for politicians to say, well, the voters knew exactly what they were voting for when they voted for me, but on that, they didn't know what they were doing. I think the voters of this state had some idea of what they were doing. How do you handle the voters voting for something that you personally oppose?
I think there was a little bit of both. I think a lot of them knew exactly what they were voting on.
I agree.
But got my hair cut yesterday, Stip and Clip and Marshall. That's the go-to haircut place for Kurtis Gregory. And there was a lady sitting there talking, and she said, I'm definitely pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice. And my ears just instantly perked up. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to hear what she has to say. And she said, what about the mom that has 3 kids at home and she's got a 4th baby on the way and her life's in danger? Like, sometimes you just got to be able to do something, and that's why I voted for it. And I just went, I wonder how many people didn't know that Missouri already allowed for exceptions for the life and health of the mother that voted yes. And that was the only reason, because they thought that we didn't have exceptions for life and health of the mother. So that's one of those where you sit back and it makes you wonder, like, we already had that. That was there, but how many people didn't actually know that? And that's the reason they voted yes. So I'm not saying the voters didn't know what they were doing, but that one example I heard yesterday just made me question. I wonder if that was the sole reason for a number of people.
Senator-elect, I think it's going to come down to, you'll have part of that Republican conference that wants to just go right at Amendment 3 and gut every part of it. Some of them will want to step up and fulfill the role that, frankly, supporters of Amendment 3 sold, is there's a lot of room in here for the state legislature to make policy underneath the overarching thing of abortion access. How are you going to decide when it's time for you to go to the floor? Because I always thought when you made it to the Senate, you have energy. You could be there a long time on that floor. How do you decide when to maybe change out of your high heels into those sneakers and go to the Senate floor and hold that thing?
Well, this is, like I said before, I absolutely trust voters. They knew what they were voting on, and they wanted to make sure that there was going to be senators there that would uphold the will of the voters. You know, Missouri, time and time again, we vote on these progressive issues. We vote on issues of freedom, whether it's Medicaid expansion, whether it's recreational marijuana, raising the minimum wage, which we just did again. Voters believe in these issues, and yes, you know, do Democrats need to do a better job of tying ourselves to these progressive measures? I think so. Obviously, we saw that.
Is that what the break is? Because sometimes I think it's harder for you to win as a Democrat when a lot of the issues that you may have a voter that has 10 issues they care about. They're with the Democrats on 5, Republicans on 5. They can get the 5 issues accomplished with the constitutional amendment and get the other 5 voting Republican. I think it sometimes handcuffs Democrats.
Well, what I appreciate about this, I think Missouri voters held us accountable for what we've done. They said we have gone too far. We have the most extreme abortion ban in the nation with no exceptions for rape or incest. Missouri legislators were not able to do anything about that in terms of making some reforms to the statute that we had in place. And this is what we get. The people spoke, and we're going to have to uphold their will in the Missouri Senate.
So let's talk about this, Senate. Senator-elect Byrd, you've been around politics for a long time. The Senate is becoming less of that respected body. It's becoming a bit of a joke. It is becoming the thing where if you just hold your breath and pout, the leadership pulls over and gives you an ice cream cone. It is a new day. There's 10 new state senators. That's a third of the body coming in. Do you all get together and just say enough of this silliness?
You know, I think we have to bring the respect back to the chamber. I mean, I'm going to work hard in that direction. I want to make sure that I'm up here to do what the people from Southeast Missouri expect me to do. I'm going to represent the rural part of Missouri strongly. I think we can work urban and rural, Democrat, Republican, and that's where we should be. Sometime when I'd go home after leaving the house and people would hear what was going on in the Senate in the state of Missouri, it was kind of like guilt by association. I didn't want any part of that at all. I think myself, Senator Maggie, Senator Kurtis, I think we can bring a degree of respect in there and respect each other and hopefully work for what the people of Missouri expect us to do when they elect us to send us to Jeff City.
It is a little, when you sit on the other side of the rotunda and think, gosh, it's not even about policy. It's just about whining and complaining. It's the St. Charlesization of the Missouri Senate. How do you roll that back?
I mean, Scott, I love a good ice cream cone. So, you know, in that regard, the way the filibuster's been used the last couple of years, I think it's easy for us in the House to say, if I get over there, I'm never going to do that. But in the same breath, you ask yourself, what's the issue going to be that I would stand up and do that? Is it going to be coming after agriculture? You know, for me, obviously, I'm close with the University of Missouri. I went there. I owe them for my education. Like, it means a lot to me. Is it going to be an issue for them? What is that issue going to be that would then potentially cause me to stand up and hold the floor? And so it's like, you can't just say, I'll never do that.
Sure.
Because you
You're
put
right
yourself
as a
in a
senator.
box. And so you just have to ask yourself, what's the occasion? What's it rise to? I think the last couple of years has been a lot of what's the reverse filibuster of, I really don't got anything with what's wrong on the floor, but my stuff's not moving, as opposed to, I'm just standing up on this because I don't like it on the floor.
Or don't like the person.
Or don't like the person. So, you know, it's easy for us to sit here right now and say, you know, we're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, we're going to fix everything that's wrong. You talk to people that's been in the building and say, every freshman class in the house says, we're going to be different, we're going to fix this. And then by the time, you know, they're juniors and seniors, they see the freshmen coming in saying the exact same thing that they said, and here we go. But I can honestly,
Is it
truly,
time for you to throw down, though? I mean, the suburban urban Republicans, they throw down. They don't give a damn about rural Missouri. Is it time for rural Missouri to say, wait a minute, before we do your latest screwball thing for your urban weirdo liberal Republicans, we're going to take care of rural Missouri too?
you know, I think look at who got elected to some of these Senate seats. Myself out there in Saline County.
You beat an urban Republican.
You know, we performed really well in Clay County. Ended up with 42% of the vote in the primary in Clay County. Yeah. So that means that those people have some trust in me.
Solid maybe.
And try, yeah, solid maybe. And it's just to be able to put it together and say that running a farm is not a whole lot different than a small business. We've got a lot of similarities with trying to find employees. How are you going to fund it? Dealing with the banks and the loans to make the cash flows work. So
wait, a lot of this though, when you talk about filibustering, it does come to the Democrats. What if the Republicans get their act together? Then you've got to actually filibuster things.
Well, I think as we start, a new session, we're going to have a serious conversation about the Senate rules, and I think all of us recognize how important it is to make sure that the Senate doesn't become the House.
But we got to be in the adults room right now. ABC is going to kick us off. Who won the week?
Republican Party, from Trump all the way down.
Who won the week?
Missourians for Constitutional Freedom. It is nothing short of a miracle, the coalition that they were able to put together in a short amount of time to pass Amendment 3 and restore reproductive freedom in the state.
Won the week?
The Kansas City Chiefs, Brett Veach, Clark Hunt. Not only did they get DeAndre Hopkins,
big wide receiver,
a Gatorade and an ice cream cone to the Titans, but they get sports betting.
Nice.
Something we can all agree on. The Chiefs continue to be great in this state and the one thing that brings us together.
A lot of fun.
I think that's right. I'm going to say the pro-life cause in the state of Missouri. It has been one of the most nasty, divisive things this state's had. I think maybe with Governor Kehoe and some folks like Cass Anderson, you may see a very different look of the pro-life movement in this state. And I think that might be better for everyone. We want to thank you for watching us this election season. We'll come back next week. We'll talk about legislation on This Week in Missouri Politics.
This Week in Missouri Politics is sponsored by the Missouri Automobile Dealers Association, Ameren, Spire, and the United Electric Cooperative.